guys, it's Emma and I'm back today for you with another video, and today we are doing another installment of probably one of my favorite series to do on my channel, alright, and that is to recommend books based on an anime that I like. And this episode's anime is Baki. Baki is outrageous. Okay, just straight up. Like, it is probably my favorite palate cleanser show to watch. Like, if I just need to turn my brain off, I know that watching these guys just mindlessly beat the crap out of one another with the most over-exaggerated muscle density is going to do the trick. So most of these books are either going to have a father-son relationship in some way, shape, or form, or they're just going to be like full of fights. I have the stack right here, but before we start, I would really appreciate it if you guys would look down in the description box for all the links that I have for you guys pertaining to stuff going on in the world right now. For example, what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Haiti, what's going on in Sudan, anything of the sort, right? So those links will be down there for you guys to interact with and to share. And then down in the comment section, let me know whether you guys have watched Baki Hanma, what your favorite character is, whether you think my recommendations are correct, what y'all's recommendations would be, the works, right? So with that being said, let's just get right on into it. Okay, so the first book that I want to recommend to fans of Baki is Iron Widow by Xiran Zhao. All right, this is set in a futuristic world where humanity is battling giant aliens with giant robots. These have to be piloted by a man and a woman, and all of the women die, but the men really don't give a shit as long as they can fight and get some notoriety. When Zetian's sister is partnered with one of the most infamous chrysalis drivers in the nation, and she dies, Zetian wants revenge, and she does. She gets it, and she proves herself to be an immensely mentally strong person who is able to drive a chrysalis. Once she gets behind the metaphorical steering wheel, and gets a taste of this power, she's like, you know what? I kind of like being able to do whatever the hell I want and step on people. Why would I want to give that up? And I'm not gonna lie, all right? The main reason why I want to recommend this based on Baki is the fights. The action scenes particularly were really well done, all right? Which, honestly, I always critique action scenes in books because it's just a thing, all right? It's easier to translate action scenes in movies and TV shows when we can actively see what's going on versus having to mental math it, you know, in a book and visualize it. I think Iron Widow does it in such an efficient way that it is incredibly easy to visualize it and see what's going on. And just, the action scenes in this book are awesome. The fights are awesome. Just, I love this book. Read it. The next book that I want to recommend to people who like Baki is The Wolf by Leo Carew, okay? This is set in a kind of alternate medieval type setting where it's playing off the idea of, okay, well, what if more than one species of humans survived the Ice Age, right? So it's the medieval Saxons against this other species of human, and it's all about the Northerners trying to keep their land from being conquered by the medieval Saxons. The main reason why I want to recommend this based on Baki is because of our main character. His name is Roper, and he is the son of this big general who essentially led the army but was killed, and so Roper has to fill in his shoes and meet those expectations that everybody else kind of wants him to meet, i.e., living up to his dad and living past his father's reputation, being his father and also being better than his father. So it's difficult for Roper because he's his own person, but you do see that internal struggle where he's like, no, I need to be able to do this like my father, but at the same time, I would never do this. This doesn't make any sense to me, you know? So do I do it like my dad or do I do it like me? Another reason why I want to recommend this based on Baki is because of the sheer amount of enemies in this book, all right? When I tell you that Roper is literally enclosed on all sides, my man is corralled, all right, by enemies, okay? Enemies literally pop out of the woodworks. Same with Baki. People sabotage one another and pick fights with one another in Baki just as easily as flipping a coin. The amount of enemies and the fights in this book, I think, is what makes it really similar to Baki, and just also I really enjoyed Roper's internal struggle with being his father, trying to be his father, trying not to be his father, trying to be his father while also being himself. It's just a whole thing. The next book that I want to recommend to people who like Baki is Batman Under the Red Hood, all right? This is the comic about Batman and the Red Hood, all right? And we find out who the Red Hood is and the Red Hood's past with Batman, why it's linked. The reason why I want to recommend this based on Baki is because of the father and the son figures fighting one another, all right? Yeah, they're not actually father and son, they're not actually blood related, but there is that bond there. And we do see it between those two characters in this book and exactly what led to that breakage with them fighting and what the tension is between the two of them, why they can't make up. And just, wow, the tragedy in this book. I know Baki, at least not to me, it doesn't seem like there's very much else besides the fights, you know what I mean? There's not that much emotional tension here, you know what I mean? Except for maybe one or two moments, but in Batman Under the Red Hood, there's just so much unsaid emotions between the two characters that fight in this book, and it's just so tragic the way everything plays out. So I'd say if you like tragedy, check it out. All right, next, I would like to recommend to fans of Baki, Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. All right, this is about two fathers, Ike and Buddy Lee, respectively, and their sons were an interracial gay couple, and they are both murdered, and so these two fathers essentially have to come together, look past their differences with themselves and each other and their sons, and go on a revenge spree to find out who murdered their sons and get them back. Now, I'm gonna be completely transparent, okay? There are a lot of problems with this book, all right? This book, I think, handles a lot of things very well, whereas it handles a lot of stuff pretty piss poor, all right? But what I really love about this book is the fathers getting revenge for their sons. So while it isn't, you know, the sons fighting the fathers or the sons trying to be like the fathers, it's the fathers trying to do better by their sons. And there's this whole essentially double-sided coin where it's like, okay, yeah, no, it's great that you guys are getting revenge for your sons, but y'all were homophobic as hell towards them. So why did it take them dying for you to finally accept them, you know? So I really liked that they had to deal with that regret and that guilt and that grief. And that whole cocktail of those three things mixed together along with a sprinkle of rage. And I think another reason why I want to recommend this based on Baki is because of how outrageous some of the action scenes do get. All right, I'm not gonna lie, some of these scenes are straight out of The Sopranos, okay? I think honestly this book would read better as an action movie than as a book. So if you're a fan of action movies, I would totally pick this up. If you're a fan of kind of how outrageous the fights are in Baki, and also kind of, you know, the father-son relationship in Baki, really pick this up. And I don't know, I enjoy a good revenge story, and yeah, some of these action scenes in here are pretty outrageous, but I think it's made up for it by other aspects of the story. The next book that I want to recommend to people who like Baki is The Last Action Heroes by Semlyen. This is talking all about the 80s and 90s action movie stars of those decades, and you know, talking about what masculinity was back then, all the popular movies that they were in. So the reason why I want to recommend this based on Baki is because it's about action stars and their success at essentially being violent and being fighters, all right? And Baki is all about violence. Baki is all about fighters. Something else that I found very interesting about this book was just analyzing how masculinity is perceived or was perceived in the 80s and 90s versus how it's perceived now, or how it's starting to be perceived now. Because there are some iconic characters just on this cover alone, you know? And they were, I guess, the epitome of what a man should be, or should be considered to be. And, you know, how these archetypes in a way have changed as, you know, history has gone on, and how people perceive these movies now versus how they were then. It's just really interesting for me to analyze the difference of the decades. Another reason why I want to recommend this based on Baki is hilarious, and this book is funny. All right, you learn a lot of tea in Baki, and you learn a lot of tea about some of your favorite action movies in this book. All right, especially action stars, Steven Seagal. Like, some of the shit that you find out about some of the action movies in this book is hilarious. All right, same thing with Baki. Okay, sometimes the dialogue is just hilarious, and then sometimes just how outrageous some of these fights are is hilarious. All right, for example, the Butterball naked brawl. You really had this man jump out of a skyscraper, ass out. That's wild. Lastly, I want to recommend Sistah Samurai by Tatiana Obey to fans of Baki, all right? This is about a Sistah Samurai who is the last of her occupation, and she is now older and just wants to live a quiet life in peace, damn it, all right? Away from the trauma that is associated with being the last Sistah Samurai. This book is essentially about her fighting through demons, hordes of bad humans, and just trying to get the hell home because she wants to be left the hell alone. I want to recommend this based on Baki because fights, all right? Same thing with Iron Widow. This book has a ton of fight scenes and they are awesomely done. Also, this book is an homage to Afro Samurai, which is an anime. So I would say that if you like anime, if you're a fan of it, definitely read this. Okay, it's got so many common like anime tropes. This book literally reads like an episode of an anime. It's so much fun. It's so entertaining. It's so refreshing. It's short. All right. And also the main character in here, she's awesome. All right. She literally could not give less of a fuck. All right. She just wants to go the hell home. That's all she wants. And honestly, I cannot relate to that more. So you guys, those were all of the books that I want to recommend to Baki fans. I hope that you've enjoyed. I hope that you guys will take some of these recommendations, all right? Because even outside of Baki, even if you don't know who the hell Baki is, even if you don't know what the hell Baki is, okay? These books are all great in their own right. With that being said, you guys, I hope that you have enjoyed. I hope that you guys will continue to look out for more stuff on my channel. I hope that you guys are staying safe. And lastly, I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.